on a second. I know the way. Just grab on tight there. There you go. And be sure not to let go.
Men, will you tuck your tails and crawl back to Westeros, back to your women and children? Or will you fight? Will you fight and win this war? Let us fight!
I'd look deep into her eyes and we'd melt away like the hours left in the evening. Her touch, a sweet promise of never letting go. Now, there's nothing left. Nothing but the fading taste on my tongue and that icy jab in the pit of my stomach when they made me watch her die. Sometimes there's a man that even a man thinks is a real cool man. What makes this distinguished gentleman unleash the essence of pure rad like real radical?
In today's top headlines, NASA reports aliens could take over the world as early as 2013. And in lighter news, this is what you've trained for. You are now a weapon of the United States Delta Force. Let's give them hell.
We need air support. Repeat, bring in air support. Tim, take out the tower. Weasel, up the middle. Jack will cover you. Take the AT-4 up the side. Get down!
Well, me and Hank there were drinking some old Texas-style whiskey.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event.
And let's see what he wrote. Tijuana Donkey Show. Is correct! All right, Bob, tell him what he's won!
Today on Behind the Mic, we have, of course, another voice actor. We have someone who's related to last week's guest, Alesia Glidewell. We have Mark C. Hanson, who, like her, is also a voice actor, but he's done a little bit different things in the industry, so we're going to get his stories today. So welcome to the show, Mark.
Hello, thanks for having me, Jeremiah.
So I think this is the first time we've had, the second time, we've had people related that weren't on the exact same show. The last time, I believe, was Mark Meir, and we've had his wife on, Belinda Cornish, I believe is her name.
Oh, nice.
But they were very different. They were on very different shows, but both equally funny. So we'll see how well you compare to your sister-in-law.
Oh man, we're different beasts, but she's hardcore. So I don't know. I'll try to add up to her intelligence, voice, wisdom.
Well, she spoke very highly of you,
okay.
And so from what she said, this is exactly why you're on. So we're going to talk a bit about your voice work because a lot of people we have on, a lot of their stuff has been, well, animation and video games, and just because it's a different beast when it comes to voiceover, anime as well.
Yeah.
And so those are the three big ones when it comes to voiceover, but to my knowledge, most of the money doesn't come from any of that. It comes from advertising, am I correct? Like the commercials and stuff?
Yeah, you know, as far as my genre goes, I love the animation. That's really what I'm pushing for hard. That's what I love to do. And then, you know, the commercials and advertising, it's another beast in itself. It's very technical, yet sounding like you're not trying at the same time. It's actually can be even more difficult. But yeah, I seem to book a little bit of both, but definitely I have had a lot of advertising, I guess you'd call it TV, radio experience.
So what got you into voice acting? What was your very first steps? You know, what got you interested? Who inspired you? And then what was your very first gig? Do you remember?
Oh, well, my very first behind the mic, it didn't start out as voiceover. I started out as a PA announcer for basketball at my University of Idaho, where I'm originally from, Idaho. And it was the big, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event, that kind of thing, you know, where it was super cheesy, big arena announcer guy. So I did that in college. Then I went to California, and I was doing some sports announcing there, and I got an agent, and she's like, you should try some on-camera acting. So I was like, okay, I'll do some on-camera acting. And then I decided, let's just blend it all together. So I started getting some on-camera gigs, but I loved being behind the mic even more. So I just wrapped up most of my on-camera stuff and went behind the mic into the acting, since really when it comes down to it, voice acting is acting. So that's how I started. And my first gig, well, I mean, I guess you could call that my first gig, but my first real voice-over gig was for some Discovery Channel, I don't even remember, it was just some VO about some narration thing. I can't remember the network. but it was some kind of fun, exciting discovery show.
So but your very, very beginning was doing the announcing for, was it Idaho, University of Idaho, was the Vandals?
Yeah, you got it.
Big Sky, I believe, is what their conference they're in.
Vandals, man. That's where I went to college.
I don't think I can remember anyone else. I think Weber State. I'm in Utah right now, so I think Weber State's
State.
in the same conference.
At this point, I don't know. It was so long ago. I graduated in 2000, so 16 years ago. I'm an old man.
Well, I'm from Alaska, and so we have University of Alaska Sea Wolves.
Okay.
And no one really cares about them because they're Division II, and they don't play very well anyway. So even the Vandals are bigger than they are.
Oh.
But I'm glad I remember the Vandals though.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Anytime somebody knows the Vandals, I'm super impressed. That's great. Right on.
So you started with the announcing, which to be fair, there's a lot of voice actors who have gotten a lot of gigs because they can announce. I believe Jeff Bennett is one who. He did announcing for Legend of Korra. He's done it for the Goofy movies and so on. And so there's a lot of that type of experience, that type of voice is one that they do cast quite a bit in voiceover, and they tend to go to very similar people whenever they go there. So has starting off as an announcer helped you get jobs? I
mean, I've gotten some jobs. I did one. It was actually right when I started voiceover. That's another one that just I thought of is. I did a special edition for Mike Tyson's Punch-Out where I was the ring announcer because I've actually done real ring announcing too. So, but ultimately, I think really since what I mostly book is non-announcer roles, it probably hurt me a little bit because it took me so long to get that announcer vibe out of my voice. Even today, I have to completely go somewhere else so I don't sound like an announcer just because my voice sometimes can go there. So
welcome to the big top.
Yeah. So it actually, it's a double-edged sword. I mean, it hurt and helped me at the same time.
Oh, well, at least one thing an announcer does helps you be able to project your voice in ways that some people, it takes a long time for them to learn how to get their voice out there without, actual screaming.
Oh, that's true. I definitely can do that. Yeah. Definitely strengthened my voice for sure.
So when it comes to your voice work, was there anything in particular that really influenced you, like a particular voice actor, maybe a show, maybe a game, maybe a style that really drew you in there and is perhaps a reason why you've continued to do voice work after that?
When I first started to mold my career, there was one guy that I was always like, dude, that guy's so awesome. He's got the coolest website. He does so many cool VOs. DC Douglas is his name. And
Wesker.
I always thought that guy was so cool. So yeah, I actually built a website kind of like his, even though his was insane. And I started to kind of mold a little bit after him. And then I went my own direction, but definitely DC Douglas. And yeah.
You gotta love DC with his, and then we walked into the panel. He has his main, Wesker is a very nasally voice when he does his talking, but he does, he did Mass Effect, he's done.
Yeah, he's very versatile for sure.
But Wesker is definitely probably most famous role as far as voiceover goes. At least that's what he tends to like the most, having followed him for a long time on his website.
Nice. Yeah, on his website, there you go. The master of the website, but
that's a great one to follow. He does a lot of stuff as well, mixing live action roles and voiceover. Have you gone on and to do some of the live action roles as well, or do you want to stick to the behind the camera instead of in front of the camera roles?
I would go there, but I haven't not yet.
I imagine that's a very different beast, though. With the way your voice is versatile, you should be able to do a lot of stuff on there, provided your body can react at the same time.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll get into that at some point for sure. Yeah.
So, there's a couple of things when I mentioned that I was talking to you, and I had, I always ask listeners and friends some ideas for questions just because they think ways that I don't. One of them had a question about voicing some of the English voices in Final Fantasy Type O, a game which, it came out a while ago and then came out again recently, I believe, or maybe finally came out in America recently.
Yeah, exactly.
And of course, it's SquareSoft, or Square Enix now, I guess. Yeah. And it's in the Final Fantasy franchise. And they just want to know is, first of all, have you been a fan, or at least know what Final Fantasy is as you step into this franchise, and what has been the reception like, or at least your your entrance or your perception of the franchise been since you entered into this very famous video game franchise?
You know, I was not when I was a kid, I played video games, but as they developed and became these, like Final Fantasy, just much more than just a video game like King Kong, or not King Kong, but Donkey Kong and Mario Brothers and stuff like that. So as that transition came is when I kind of got out of games and playing video games and whatnot. But once I did Final Fantasy, I still am not a gamer myself, but it was so, all my friends are gamers, and that's really where I found that how cool it was, and how that's where I got my gratification from, doing that character. I'm not sure if I'm answering your question correctly.
You answered it right. So has it been nice that a game that you voiced, the original came out on the PSP in 2011, I believe, right around the time of Crisis Core and so on, and then recently the HD remaster came out. Has it been nice to have a game that's had literally 2 lives, and you're part of both releases, and so you've had 2 different waves of hype for this title?
Yeah, you know what? It's one of those things where it keeps coming up, just like you said. So I love it, and working for Square Enix was really, really great, and they're cool people, and they're very meticulous in what they want, and they've asked me or called me back in to read for other characters after that. So, yeah, anytime something keeps getting attention or re-released or whatever you want to call it, from Japanese to the U.S. versions and this kind of thing, yeah, I love it, man. Keep it coming, for sure.
So when it comes to Final Fantasy, we haven't had a lot of voices from Final Fantasy on, at least not talking about it. We've had a lot of BioWare people, and BioWare has a very particular thing because they have like all the different variations what could happen, like different choices, so you have to react to each one differently. Right. You have to read every line differently. You have to really time it out right. And then you have Blizzard that has similar things. So when it comes to Final Fantasy, you said they're very meticulous. What exactly were they looking for in the English dub of their game? And was it more of like an anime feel where you have to basically say a translation of what they want in the time frame, or were they looking for something different? What sort of direction did they give you for? Yeah,
it was more matching the Japanese, the feeling. There's a lot more of that for sure. As you said, like the anime, just in taking something that you have no idea what the guy's saying or how he's saying it. You don't know their language, in other words, and trying to make it sound the same in English. That was the main thing. And then, of course, when you say the line, working with Square Enix, you do the line, they send it back to Japan, they review it, they come back. So each line can take 5 minutes. So they'll might say like, okay, we want him a little more frustrated, or this is what's happening in the scene. They'll direct you like that. But it's a lot of matching what's already there for sure.
Was it a challenge to be able to, because with the matching you have to have A, the matching, and B, since sometimes they have to change the what they say to make it fit in English, you have to change how fast you talk or how slow you talk to make it work. Was that a challenge to you, having to adjust the speed of your delivery based on the lines instead of the performance thing?
Not for me. I think, and actually a lot of voiceover artists are the same way. There are a lot of them are musicians or in music or love music for some reason. I don't know why the correlation's there, but playing instruments, singing myself, it's kind of a musical feel, you get the tempo, you get the timing down. So for me, that's really easy. Any kind of ADR work, any kind of dubbing, whatnot. Yeah, definitely my forte. I do well on that.
So you mentioned music. I'm assuming you do sing and do other stuff as well?
Yeah, I play the guitar. I try to play the piano when I have time. So yeah, definitely. And I sing. I sing a little bit.
Have you ever had to sing for one of your roles? Or
for sure. Yeah. Anytime my agent knows I sing, so anytime my agent gets something where I fit and I can sing, yeah, I throw it in there. I probably go over the top sometimes with it. They're like, oh, I finally get to sing. All right, cool. I probably go crazy, but especially anytime it's some kind of Disney thing, they always want you to sing.
Oh, do you have an example of type of projects you've had to sing with?
Oh, no, because I've never booked any of the singing ones, so maybe I'm not as good as I think.
I don't know. The other day, I literally talked to the voice actor who's Donald Duck, and he talked about how his dream is always to do a Donald Duck, Frank Sinatra CD.
Oh,
so
wow.
Whether he ever books it, I don't know. But
that sounds awesome. I love Frank Sinatra, so I'd like to see that or hear that.
Another listener question is they said on your site that you worked on EA's canceled title, Dawngate.
Yeah.
And it got canceled into the beta, and they just want to know what was the feeling you went through as soon, after putting in all your work in this one, and I'm assuming they paid everyone and got the work in there for the voice recording, and then you find out either right away or maybe later that they shut it down and outright canceled it. What was going through your mind? What happened the day that you learned about this?
That's a kind of a funny story that you asked me that, because I was sitting at Universal Studios where I work often, and I'm sitting there, and one of my voice coaches, we're talking. I hadn't seen him in maybe like a month or a month and a half, and we're sitting down. He's like, "So what's been going on?" And I said, "Oh, well, this Dawngate, I'm totally stoked on it. They really liked my performance. I loved the character. I just melt. I don't know. Me and this character just melted together. I loved it." And he goes, "Oh, cool. Let me look at it." And he looked it up on his phone, and the first thing that came up was Dawngate canceled. And I'm like, "Oh, okay." So anyway, so when he said that, I'm still trying to keep a positive attitude. And in this industry, anything can come and go so quickly. So I wasn't too bummed. I just took it and said, okay, well, it was fun. I enjoyed it while it lasted. And hopefully something else will come from it, because I had such a great time, and I had a great time working with them. So I wasn't too bummed. I mean, I'd love if it was still around, of course, but it's kind of funny that it happened at that time when I was telling somebody about it. And he was like, "Oh, well," he just raised his phone up and said, "Canceled." I was like, "Oh, great." Anyway.
Well, from what I've heard of that game, the voice work with, I know like you were in there, Adam Harrington was in there, David Boyle and others were in there. The voice work I've been told was excellent. I didn't play the title myself, but they said the voice work was good, and the look was good. It was just something to do with the mechanics that just people weren't digging it. So I guess if the mechanics don't work in a video game, they are not going to continue the video game, because that's kind of the point of the game.
Oh, well, that's kind of good to hear. I hadn't heard any of that, so that's good to know. I mean, at least it wasn't all of us.
No, I've seen very few games made in the past decade that the voice work hasn't been top notch. It's usually sometimes been the story or maybe the writing, but not usually the voices, even when they're trying to be silly. It's not like the Resident Evil games back in the day where they're like the power of unlocking, or the terrible voiceover that was in the 90s.
Yeah, it's come a long way, that's for sure.
So you mentioned Universal Studios where you've worked, and one of the things that when I was asking Alesia about what you've done, she says, "Well, he's Optimus Prime," and the first thing that came to mind was, no, Peter Cullen's Optimus Prime.
Peter Cullen is Optimus Prime, that is for sure. But
you do voice Optimus Prime at Universal.
Yeah, it's a really cool job. It's more like a day job kind of, because there is an attraction there, and I probably shouldn't even talk about it because it's the secret of how it works, but how can I say this? There's a giant robot that comes out, and it is Optimus Prime. And there's also Megatron. So there's a group of us, about 8 of us, that voice these guys. And I can't tell you how it works, but we get to interact with the audience, with the people at Universal Studios as Optimus Prime or Megatron. So it's pretty awesome. And we can hear them and talk to them and see them and everything. It is pretty awesome.
So was it intimidating to voice a character that has been voiced by Peter Cullen since before I was born?
Yeah. Every day. I've been doing this job for three years now. And every day before I go in, it's so recognizable. It's such a, growing up as a kid, that everyone wanted to be Optimus Prime. So I still do at least 15 to 20 minutes warm up just to get there. So because I do not want to let anyone down.
Have you ever met Peter Cullen himself to get some advice or tips, or have you ever gotten any advice for the role to be able to capture it, or were you just a fan and said I can do that?
I do a lot of different voices, and I thought, you know what, I can probably get this. I might have a chance at this one. So I went in and auditioned at Universal Studios. It's pretty cool how they do it too, by the way. Just go on a quick tangent.
Tangent's good.
They put you behind usually in a VO audition, you're in the studio, through the glass. There you go, you're done. Or sometimes you go into a room, maybe it's there's just producers sitting around, there's a mic in the middle of the room. But this is, you walked in, you said hello, you walked behind this big black curtain so they can't see you, which I thought was pretty badass. And then you voice the character so they can really just hear how good you are rather than you selling it to them with your look or your essence or whatever. Yeah, so that was pretty awesome. But the question was, now have I ever got, okay, so I did the audition. Yeah, they said it's pretty good and they can make it better. Universal Studios has an amazing team of voice coaches and performance coaches, and they worked with me for a couple weeks and dialed it in. But I've never, second part of the question, I've never met Peter Cullen, although I want to at some point.
Someday he'll just walk in the studio and be like, "Excuse me, boys, I know that I got this."
Yeah, I guess he has. He has come,
it's yours.
He has come to the park a couple times, but just out of respect, we don't voice if he's coming because you just don't want to butcher.
He is Optimus.
Why was there a voice if he's there? It doesn't, So we would never be on the mic if he came. I would just turn it off and shake his hand.
So I'd be remiss if I didn't ask this, but can we hear your Optimus, or at least as close without the sound?
Autobots,
text.
roll out.
Something like that.
Bumblebee, get back here now.
I told you I got to get about 20 minutes of warm up. So.
And then they add that little echo in there, the resonant
echo.
chamber, and the.
Yes, here we are. They just get that resonance. I could get real close to the mic and maybe make it better.
Before time began, there was the cube. Some wanted it for good, others for evil.
Anyway, something like that. And then they add a little bass to it. See, I have to get the right tempo and this and that. And actually, when you do Optimus, I was going a little fast there. That when you slow it down, he sounds even better. So slow it way down. Anyway, that's my.
Yeah, I
imagine
Peter Cullen slowed it down quite a bit because even now he's even older, and every time I've seen him record anything, he takes his time and just makes sure every word is done right, because I guess they can artificially make it faster if they have to, but they can't really make it slower very well.
Yeah, he's just the man.
So you got to work on something that honestly I forgot ever existed, and then when we mentioned that when Alessia mentioned that you're on Rainbow Brite, my co-host, who is actually asleep right now because he's in Florida, went, "Holy cow, he's a brony." So you voiced in Rainbow Brite, a show which has actually had other people we've interviewed on it. Cam Clark's been on, and
nice.
People like that. So you've it's the same type of stuff that other people have done with this. And so I just want to know, what was your experience with Rainbow Brite in the 2014 reboot, I think it was?
It was awesome. One, because, Cam Clark, we got a great cast. He was there. They also had, I never got to record with Molly Ringwald, but even though she's in it, we recorded separately, but that was kind of cool to be in it with her. And Ginny McSwain, who's an amazing director, was directing us, which was awesome because she just rocks. And I loved it, man. It was so much fun. And I got to be Starlight, which is...
Which is now a pillow pal.
Which is like, I don't know, man. He's just so cool. He's just almost like this cocky horse, He's just, I don't know. It was a lot of fun. I loved it.
If I recall right, that was a mini-series that they did for On Demand.
Yeah.
It was, people might say 3 episodes looks like it got canceled, but no, it was actually a mini-series. And wasn't the main character Emily
Osment? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just making sure I got that one right. And she did pretty great as far as I recall.
Yeah, she was good, man. I thought she was, she rocked it.
Coming off of stuff like, Spy Kids. And
yeah, I don't know if she did any, she
I know she did Spy Kids 2 and 3.
Yeah, okay.
Because she's Gertie, but, she's definitely coming to her own now, and she did a good job in that show as Rainbow Brite.
Yeah, I thought she was super. You could just hear the confidence. I mean, that character is so confident anyway. She just she killed it. Yeah.
And so the listener question wants to know, since you played Starlight in Rainbow Brite, they want to know, do you have the merchandise associated with your character in your home? Do you own it, or did people send it to you?
No, I have zero. I need something. I need a little Starlight horse. I don't even...
You don't have the pillow pal even?
No, I have nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Oh.
I know my desk is kind of sad. The only thing I have is a little tiny Optimus Prime. That's it. This little like bobblehead thing. I need to get... And then I look at some voice actors' rooms and they have all these cool characters they voiced and animals and this and that. I'm like, man, I need to get some of this stuff. Starlight, that's next. That's what I'm doing.
Well, let's see, the Rainbow Brite pillow pet. Oh, it's unavailable right now.
Oh man,
Starlight
it must be sold out.
I will. Well, it'll most likely appear again, but it's a pillow pet, so it'll probably pop up sometime soonish. But this other listener question just wants to know, when you did Rainbow Brite with Emily Osment, did you ever ask her if her older brother sees dead people?
You know what? I never actually met her. Her and Molly Ringwald, they recorded, I don't know, maybe it's because of their schedules, but they were never there with us. Sad day. Well, it was fine. No, we had a good cast, and yeah, they were always coming and recording at different times, so I actually never met her.
So was that a show, though, where they tried to get as much of you together in the same room as possible, or did they try to get you to separate?
No, actually, everyone else was there. They were just, they couldn't make it on our recording session days, so, but the rest of the cast was there at the same time.
Excellent. And I'm assuming with your other video game work and so on, it's the usual where they just have one person at a time come in versus
one at a time.
Everyone and talk.
And I like it both. I like it either way. I like it, I can really... There's plus and minuses to either one. When everyone's there, you get that synergy going on. You can play off each other's lines, obviously, which really helps in the acting side of it. But on the other side, if you're doing a really hard voice where you're tweaking your voice a lot, say, sometimes you might have a line, then you wait like 5 minutes, then you have another line, if you're not one of the main characters. So it can be hard to, okay, I got to stand up and deliver that line with that crazy voice that I haven't done in 5 minutes. So that can be kind of hard as far as the group thing, which is better for the by yourself thing. So I like them both for different reasons.
So this listener says, usually when it comes to voiceover sessions, they can use it for up to 3 roles, or 3 different voices in a session. Mm-hmm. And I just want to know, when you did Rainbow Brite or Final Fantasy Type O, if they had you do other voices in those sessions, and if so, was it easier to do it when you're alone doing it versus a group?
I know in Rainbow Brite, the only other things we did, like the Color Kids and those, definitely when you're with the group, because that's the really fun thing. You can let go of your character for a second. You can just be a little crazier. It's more off the cuff rather than having to stick to the guideline of Starlight does this. This is his character. This is who he is. You can have more fun. And when other people are with you doing other voices and just having fun, yeah, that can be a good time. In Type O, I probably did. I'm sure I did, like maybe a soldier or something, or not a soldier, but what would they call it? I don't know, somebody. I can't remember. It was quite a while ago. But I'd rather do it with a bunch of people there and have fun. Yeah.
Okay. So another listener question is, on your site, you're credited for doing stuff for McDonald's. Mm-hmm. And I just want to know if you're a put a smile on it person or you're loving it.
I'm loving it, man.
So what type of work did you do for McDonald's? What era of McDonald's was it? The current era where they have the make your own burger and stuff era, or what era of McDonald's did you do voice work in?
I did it I guess it was last year. I did a series of radio ads for McDonald's where it was all about parents getting their kids to school on time and I was like the guy. Let me think if I can remember one of the spots. It was like man, I can't remember right now. It's too hard to remember, but it was a series of radio ads about getting up in the morning, going to school. One of them I got to voice with this little kid. That I was the announcer throughout the whole thing. Like, hello, people, waking up, get ready for the morning. What are you going to do out there? McDonald's, you got to go in there and get the 2 cheeseburger or whatever it was, 2 hash browns. I can't remember exactly what the dialogue was, but what was the question again?
Well, they were just wondering what type of McDonald's stuff you did, and
oh yeah, radio ads,
and the question about loving it versus put a smile on.
Radio ads, for McDonald's, and I don't think I don't think they ever aired because I live in Los Angeles. I don't think they ever aired there. I think they were more in the Midwest and stuff like that because I don't think I never heard them.
That makes it does make sense. They don't have to air them in certain areas.
Yeah,
so.
You never know. I mean, yeah, they can air wherever they want. More the merrier. More places the merrier, though.
So this other one says, you've done voices in Body 360 Nutritionals.
Oh, yeah.
And they want to know what type of ads did you do for them, and what was it like doing stuff for a company that tends to do the more infomercial type work? Well,
I kind of did some. They're ads, but they're like infomercials almost. You know, they're like they have some technical words, and these were all online campaign. I'm really good friends with the owner of the company, so I am still working with them here and there, doing certain online ads, or if they have I have a degree in exercise physiology and kinesiology, so that was where I came in to be a good fit for that. So anytime they have some technical jargon about the body and how the nutritional supplements work, I'm good to voice that because I know what I'm talking about.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's an interesting thing to have background in. You know, when it comes to a lot of people, they have it in, most of the backgrounds in music or acting in general, or sometimes they've been writers, sometimes they've been, some of them don't have background in lots of stuff. They just learn how to imitate voices since they were young, and they do the voice matching, I guess it's called. That's a really cool background. Have you ever had to use that in other things other than ads, like other job opportunities you've done?
Let me think. Yeah, just some technical, because I do some technical medical narration stuff, so that definitely comes in handy there for sure. Talking about the body, or talking about how some type of heart pump works and they need a video for it, something like that. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Here's another listener question. They say voice actors tend to have a lot of different experiences, a lot of variety in what they do, from radio to TV to dubbing and so on. I just want to know, what has been the most challenging experience for you as far as a voice actor? What type of role has been the most challenging for you, if not what role?
The most challenging, the most challenging roles were probably my most recent stuff I have a couple of characters coming out on Marvel, Marvel Avengers Assemble, because one of them, the voice was kind of hard for me to get at first, and so throughout the different episodes of matching the previous episode and the episode before that, I had a cold, so then I was trying to match that because I had a cold. I don't know, it was just a complete madhouse. Plus, I'm in the room with all these huge names and voiceover names, and so I wanted to be really good, of course. So that puts a little pressure on you as well. So that was probably my hardest thing is, okay, I'm in this room. I'm trying to match a voice that's already kind of hard for me to match from last time because I was sick. Now I'm with all these badass voice actors that seriously can just nail it on almost every try. So that was probably the most intimidating, I guess, which would made it hard because I'm pretty chill otherwise.
So with that, you were able to work with, there's some amazing voice actors in there, from Fred Tatasciore to Troy Baker to Laura Bailey, Travis Winningham, I guess another one in there. What are some of the things have you been able to, by working with people like that, what are some of the things you've been able to pick up and learn from voice actors like that as you work by them, or not necessarily that they work with you all the time, but when you see their work, see some of the stuff that other people have been involved in. Have you learned from people like that when in your projects?
Oh, for sure. One of the main things I think I learned is have fun with it. Have fun, take the pressure off, especially when I first walked into that room and I was like, okay, I gotta kick ass on this. I gotta be good, man. I'm gonna show these guys what I got. And that's really not what it's all about. It's about having fun, and it's so just keeping the brain creative. When they're not recording, these guys are doing funny voices back and forth. They're joking around. They're playing different characters between each other that make absolutely no sense. And then once the mics go back on, once the mic's hot, boom, you're right back in it. So I learned from those guys just to have fun with it. It's like not caring, but caring at the same time. Doing a good job, but not putting so much pressure on yourself, and you'll just get a better performance.
I see. And have you ever had the privilege of going to like a Comic-Con or a convention as a voice actor and being able to work with people at a convention setting where, in my experience, a lot of voice actors have been very just loose and silly the entire time because it's almost a time to relax when they get to meet people that they never get to meet otherwise.
I mean, I've gone to Comic-Con, but not as like a voice actor, just as a patron to go there. Someday I will do that. Not yet. I'm crossing my fingers. We'll see what's next.
Well, have you ever been to a Comic-Con or done a role where the other people that you recognize or know that they should, that you respect them, but they've recognized you back and know some of the roles that you've done? And
oh yeah, yeah. I've had people that, I know what you're saying, but no big names, just people that I've known from other acting roles that are also in the same boat I'm in, that kind of thing.
I imagine it'd be really fun to step into, say, Avengers Assemble, and Fred Tatasciore just goes, "Oh, I know you. You did a good job on Rainbow Bright," or it's another thing. It'd be just like
that'll happen at some point for sure. Those guys.
Or if you meet Peter Cullen, he's like, "Oh, you do such a good job doing me."
I don't think that would happen. I think this is his baby. He would probably slap me.
I am Optimus Prime.
He'd be like, "No, get out of here, boy.
You can be Bumblebee."
Yeah, I'll be Bumblebee, man, because he can't talk anyway. His vocal processors were ripped out, so I'd be perfect for that.
So we have a couple more questions from listeners. This wants to know is, a lot of voice actors and actors in general tend to be fans of a lot of things. It's what gets them going, and they have dream projects to work on. They just want to know, what are you a fan of, and what would be a dream role or dream type of project for you to work on? I'm assuming outside of Avengers Assemble, which I'm assuming was one that you want to be on.
Oh man. Where do I begin? Really, there's this, it's probably everybody wants to do this, but these big Disney movies, of course, they have all these big name celebrities that voice these characters. Man, put me in as anything in there. I would love to be in a Disney, because growing up, going to Disneyland, I'm talking like, anything, man. Put me in as a character in the big feature, Disney feature. I want to do that. It's pretty simple, straightforward.
So when they do Wreck-It Ralph 2, they'll put your Final Fantasy character in there and just have you do that.
Yeah, that'll work. That would work.
The first one had, 200 characters in it? Or models, man. I guess is the thing.
That was awesome. I love that. Yeah, this is a big production, a big animation studio. That would be just great. I'd love it.
So this one, they just want to know, what do you record with? What's your setup when it comes to doing your voiceover? I know you said, I know right now that people listening, he's on his mobile studio, his mobile recording.
I'm in New York City.
So what do you record on when you're on the road, and what do you record on when you're at home? What's your setup?
Well, when I'm on the road, right now I have the Sennheiser 416 into this Apogee Duet. Apogee made in California, by the way, which is pretty awesome. Into my little Mac laptop. And luckily I'm in Manhattan, but I somehow scored this insane room. I'm on 32nd floor, it's corner room. It's insane. It's awesome, but there's no traffic noise all the way up here, which is pretty cool. So, but I will stack the pillows, the pillows around the laptop. So it gives me a little sound deadening, because I must say, it's not so much what mic, it's the room that it's in that really makes the big difference. So when I'm on the road, that's what I use. When I'm at home, I'm a total gear nerd. I use almost always a Neumann U87 or a handmade Lawson. It's made in Nashville, Tennessee. Lawson L47 MK2 tube microphone. Those are my two go-tos. and I put them in. I'm kind of crazy, man. I got a whole stack of preamps, John Hardy M1 or the Avalon M5. I have compressors with the Grace. Nobody probably knows what I'm talking about, but I can talk about this all day. A Grace compressor or a Buzz Audio Essence compressor. I also use a Great River preamp, and I use the converters also by Apogee. It's called the Symphony. All into my Mac Pro Tools, and then I use a few plugins to make it sound even better. So is that enough for you?
So we have another technical question from listeners, because we do audio drama sometimes on this show, and we have people, listeners who want to be voice actors and do voices and stuff like that. And so this one just wants to know is, sometimes in modern houses there's a lot of hardwood floors and a lot of things that cause echoes. I just want to know, what are some of the tricks that you've learned to reduce the echo, reduce the natural sound of a place without just covering your head with a blanket and hope it does enough to dampen the echo?
Yeah, well, definitely. Well, if you have hardwood floors, put a big rug down. And I will tell you what you shouldn't waste your money on is putting a bunch of foam all over the walls, because first of all, that can really, you want to deaden the sound, but if it's only like a 1 or 2 inch foam, then 1 second. If it's only a 1 or 2 inch foam, then the frequencies, it's not going to catch all the frequencies, so it might only catch just the high frequencies, and the bass will sound boomy in the room. So really, invest in sound panels. They're thick. They're made out of the big, wool, I guess it is. Like 3 inch thick, 4 inch thick. It's better to have 4 of those on the walls and cover your entire wall in foam, and get some bass traps in the corners. That's the best you can do without doing an entire studio.
So when you're on your mobile unit, you find a way to do that without.
When I'm on my mobile unit, if I have an audition, I'll just stack the pillows on the side of the mic and in front of me. And if I have a job, I will put the mattress behind me and the pillows in front of me. So when it comes to technical stuff, I guess you got to think about this. Every time, if the mic's wherever it's sitting, your voice is going to bounce off each hard wall, and come back to the mic. So each one of those is going to hit the mic at different times, because the walls are all in different places. The floor, the ceiling, each wall. So it's all going to come into the mic at a different time, so it's going to make it sound unclear. You want a little bit of that to make it sound bright and beautiful, but too much of it will just make it sound like crap. So what I'm trying to do with these, by putting the pillows up on the side or in the front, is to stop those bounces, so I only have a couple, like the ceiling and the floor. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. That's a great answer. Thank you.
Sure.
Quite sure the listeners are gonna like that one, because, well, you have the best type of people to ask.
Well, I love the whole sound thing. It's like, I just love it. I'm a total technology nerd, so I'm all about that.
For me, I like fixing things in post, but sometimes if the recording is not good enough, you can't fix. You can only reduce so much sound without making it sound awful. You can only do so much in post to make it sound good. So it's all up in the recording.
Yeah.
If the recording's bad, well, what can you do?
And I do, when I'm on the road, I do use, these are kind of expensive though, Isotope RX dialogue denoiser. So it takes away that sound, that low rumble sound floor. It's pretty amazing. I'm not promoting it or anything, I don't get a kickback. It's just really good, and it'll save so many people, it'll make their recording sound so good. And then I also use an SPL Deverb, which can also get rid of some of that room noise. And that's like $20 for that thing. Those two things has saved me in jobs where I can send the audio and they're like, this sounds amazing. And I get it back to my studio when I get home and I'm like, holy crap, that stuff really works. Sounds really good.
Nice. It definitely sounds much better than I use a Blue Snowball Ice, I believe it is. And I guess it does its job for what I'm paying for it, but.
Yeah, right now I have nothing. I just have the mic sitting on the desk. I didn't set it all up, but if it sounds
great.
Good, all right, good, awesome.
So we're going to begin wrapping this up. So one question we like to ask everyone at the very end is promote yourself. Promote your website where people can contact you, current projects that you can actually talk about, or anything you'd like people to go, have them go Universal, whatever you want them to do. You can promote your website and any projects, appearances, or tell the fans what you want them to know.
Cool. Yeah. Well, my website is yourvoiceover.com. And you can message me there if you have. I get questions from people about how do I get into voiceover, or I actually create demos as well. I do VO demos for people, and I coach them through them and from start to finish. So I can help you kind of figure out where you need to go, and I can recommend books to read and that kind of thing. I like helping people because I feel like every time I help someone, I book a job. It's kind of crazy. So I love helping people out. Mark@yourvoiceover.com. And the other thing I would just want to say, rather than promote myself, is just give you one quick piece of advice, and just do this job because you love it. Don't ever try to do this job for money, because that won't get you anywhere. I get so many people coming to me, hey man, I'm an actor, I need to make more money, I need to get into voiceover. At that point I say, nah, it's probably not for you then. Just do it because you love it.
Yeah, but from what I know of voiceover actors, well, if you do it just for the money to start with, you're probably going to starve.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe eventually you can do that, but it's like author. When you're a writer, you're going to have to do two things first, or starve a lot.
Yep, you got it, exactly.
So last thing we have is just a request for a bumper. This is so that I'm going to put this on the episode with Alesia. Mm-hmm. Just to promote the next episode. So the way the bumper works, usually it's something along the lines of, hello, this is so-and-so, I'm the voices of, and sometimes they put in voices, sometimes they put in who they do, or stuff with some of the work they do, or their profession, and you can listen to me next week on Bombad Radio.
Okay.
This is fairly simple. I'm just going to plug it in at the very end of Alesia's episode and go with it there.
Cool.
So, do you want me to give you some ideas, or do you have an idea in mind?
Yeah, give me some ideas. What should I say?
Well, I guess the biggest projects that people would know you for would be maybe it's Katar in Final Fantasy Type O. I guess Optimus Prime is definitely big because Optimus Prime and people love going to Universal. So, and that's a fairly big thing at Universal. Optimus Prime. You can mention some of your commercial work. But keep it to maybe 2 or 3 different ones, the roles that you do, or different voices, and then you can listen to me next week on Bombad Radio.
So maybe I'll say Kator from Final Fantasy, Starlight from Rainbow Brite, and
Optimus Prime.
And Optimus Prime. Okay, cool.
Okay, I'm gonna mute myself now. So if it goes quiet, it's because I'm muted.
This is Mark Hanson, voice actor. You can catch me on Final Fantasy Type O, Kator Bashtar, Starlight from Rainbow Brite, and Universal Studios' Optimus Prime. And you can listen to me next week on Bombad Radio.
Fantastic! Thank you so much for giving us your time, and I'm glad I was able to work.
Yeah, man.
You're a busy person, and tonight or tomorrow morning.
I'm glad we got it in. I'm about to pass out. It's midnight here. I'm getting a little loopy.
Okay, I'll let you go to sleep now, so you can go relax and enjoy your time in the Big Apple.
Yeah. Hey, man. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, and have a good night.
Hey, you too.